Welcome to Winning with the Burns, a podcast for highly ambitious people who have a burning desire to learn what it takes to win at a high level. Hey guys, thanks for joining us again today. I got a couple of friends of mine back with me, get a little update. We finished up school, Mina. We ready to go into the real world, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
so,
sir.
Let's talk about, being an entrepreneur and, what that really means and creating separation, separating from the masses and not doing the status quo. I know when you walked across that stage again, people probably always were saying, all right, what's next? Did you find you a job?
Yeah.
Did you find you a job? Mm-hmm. Like who you going to work for, right? And you're like, no, man, I'm being an entrepreneur. Like I'm going to be a 1099. I'm not taking out a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, with my background growing up, like my parents never worked for anybody. They've always had their own established business. So that's always been my mindset. I never seen myself going into a 9-to-5 to begin with. I got that degree. First, one, to have it. Two, and if it sounds bad, that's fine. But that degree, like I said, it helps with having those connections you build. That piece of paper does mean something. But to be qualified, you have to know somebody so you can get into that job. Like at the end of the day, the last thing you'll need is that qualification that says bachelor's degree. But if you know somebody, like I knew Lincoln and got into this field of business, that's what the whole point of college, I think, is, and the main meaning. So I think I got the most out of it and as much of it out of it as I can. So
you're able to take your degree now because of the relationships you built.
Mm-hmm.
I was always taught growing up that your net worth will never be larger than your net work. Like
Mm-hmm.
life is all about relationships and connections. And, sometimes you meet somebody and, sometimes it turns into a business dealing. Sometimes it turns into a good friendship. Sometimes it turns out to a great friendship, but it's all about relationships. And, one of your good friends that got you into the business, Lincoln, that's where y'all had a connection on the basketball court together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, to be honest, me and Mina weren't that close playing. We weren't, like, close. We knew each other.
We only played 1 year.
Yeah, so we was together for 1 year, so it was my senior year. He had came in as a transfer. We were close, but we weren't, like, close as we are now. But after college, basically, Mina was still in college, and I was just working, do what I do, and traveling and whatnot, and he kind of just saw what I was doing and, kind of asked me about it a couple of times, and then we kind of talked about what I did.
He wouldn't tell me.
And then
don't forget that part.
No, I didn't say. I did not tell him, but I just was like, just telling him what I did, but also kind of, priming him to see where his mind was at, where he was just, trying to just see what I did. Because some people, just want to know, just to be in the know, but some people actually want to, find out to see if it can work for them. So that was him, and then from there, that just kind of, opened up a better and stronger relationship between us two to just, get more accomplished with business wise, and then him meeting you, and then just going from there. I think that kind of helped out too with our relationship as well.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, because we were talking about earlier before we got going about one of your favorite quotes and the quote that you live by. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes hand in hand with what we're trying to get to here in a few minutes, but being an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, what does that really mean to you, Lincoln Anderson? Like being an entrepreneur, there's so many people out there that are like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a influencer. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to create this app. I'm trying to do this, right? But
you said trying to. The key word is
that's
trying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And look, there's people out there grinding and they're trying to do things. Mm-hmm. And, I applaud people because being 1099 is not for the faint of heart. There's so many people that like that comfort of the W-2. They're like, I show up, I'm trading my time for a paycheck. And there's a lot of people out there. I think 95% of the world does that, right? But being an entrepreneur, Lincoln, like I said, we were talking about the quote earlier. Mm. What does that mean to you? Like, what does that give Lincoln Anderson being an entrepreneur?
Okay, so the quote is, do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. And basically, as an entrepreneur, that kind of drives me because I'm working or I'm doing what I have to do in order to have a life later down the road. And that kind of just, being an entrepreneur just kind of means you're taking something out of nothing and creating something for yourself at the end of the day. We can talk about the freedom. We can talk about, the money that you make. But at the end of the day, what are you creating that no one can take away from you? Because anybody that's an employee they can take away that job. You're just a number. And not knocking an employee, not knocking W-2 at all, but just saying being an entrepreneur, I know no one cannot take that from me, whether if I'm doing great at it or bad at it, whatever I learned throughout the process, that kind of sticks with me and no one can never, take that away from me. And I like that about that. And also it's funny you kind of talked about it because I saw a tweet 2 days ago and I think I asked Mina, it said, would you rather work for someone for $200,000 or work for yourself for $100,000? And I looked at the comments. A lot of people were like, I'll work for somebody else for $200,000. I can just put that money into invest. I can just, well, I didn't send it to you. I asked you, and I can just put that money into this and this, and then I'll be good, be settled because I got the $200,000 coming in. And I was like, I just couldn't agree with it. And I didn't tweet nothing. I just looked at it. I didn't tweet or reply to it. But I just told myself I don't think I would personally do that. Because being an entrepreneur, there's no limit or there's no cap on what you can do for yourself or the amount of money that you can make or the amount of time that you have free for yourself. So I think that kind of just makes me more appreciate the entrepreneur lifestyle. And like you said earlier, anybody can be an entrepreneur, but it comes down to, are you profitable? Are you, actually doing the steps or becoming a business owner? Because anybody can be an entrepreneur, but are you a business owner? Is your business flourishing, So I think that kind of helps me have a mindset to wanting to do more and just prove myself more, being an entrepreneur, just working towards what I want to become and what I want to gain, basically.
Well, it comes with freedom. Mm-hmm. It allows you to do what you want to do, not what you have to do, right?
Exactly.
Like you wake up with the mindset of, I get to do this, not I have to go clock in. I have to do this. You wake up with a different mindset of, I get to go provide for myself. Mm-hmm. I get to go provide for my family. And Mina, we were talking about this morning about one of our calls we were listening to this morning about, separating from the masses. You said growing up, your family always worked for themselves. Mm-hmm. So like that was instilled in you, which a lot of people would say, oh, well, why did you even go to college? But we already hit on the relationship part of it. But you talk about separating yourself from the masses and not doing the quote unquote status quo, but doing something out of the norm for you so you can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I have come to see, and I want both of your opinions on this. So working a 9-to-5 is pretty much the masses and what everybody do after they get a degree and everything. But the biggest challenge from being an entrepreneur and working a 9-to-5 is that job security. So you can be comfortable with a certain check, but then being an entrepreneur, you don't know when money will be coming in. Like it's not set in stone. So I think that's why so many people don't. They want to be an entrepreneur, but they're trying to, but they're not actually going and like putting the movements towards it. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things. Like how do you guys overcome it? Like do you guys look at it that way? Like what do you guys do, or like outwork somebody? Like how do you guys go about that type of, because that's like the biggest issue, not issue, but biggest deal, like to take that step from a 9-to-5 to being an entrepreneur. So
well, you look at it as taking ownership of your business, taking ownership of your life to where I create life doesn't happen to me. And that's why we're big on reading. I think the book we're reading this month is Intentional Mindset. Is that way I continue to grow. Because like when you guys play ball, you always practice, right? You lift the weights, you condition and all that stuff. And then what happens is you get in the real world and you quit conditioning. You quit lifting weights, in the mindset aspect is the way you lift weights, the way you condition yourself, you exercise the most important muscle in your body, and that is the brain. So if you can wake up with an intentional mindset of, I'm going to sow into myself, right? I'm going to read something. I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm going to go and listen to people that, where are they at that I want to go to? And so for me, it's all about just trying to get better. Because if I'm a better person, I wind up being a better father, a better husband, a better friend. And then all of a sudden, everything else around me, my business, my relationships, everything gets better, but it starts with me, taking ownership. Like, why do I have a bad relationship with this person? All right, it's because I'm taking ownership because I don't want that person in my life, maybe, right? Or maybe I did something I shouldn't have. So it's all about just taking ownership and just trying to go to the next level from a mindset wise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I never came from a W-2, so I don't know what that
You're
differentiation
spoiled. You're
is.
spoiled.
No, not just I never came from it, so I my mindset coming into this was very much different. I knew where I wanted to go in life, and I knew that this was probably not easiest, but the most simple way to get to there. I just had to work the system right. So I think that's my mindset on coming into the business or going 1099 is that I don't have a cap to, my income, kind of like what I said earlier. I can really just focus on my activity and focus on what I want to do in my controllables in order to get to where I want to go to. So I think that's my mind.
What do you think the risk versus reward? I heard this morning. There's a risk and a reward of everything. Talk about how being an entrepreneur, the risk and reward compared to a regular W-2.
Well, if you risk nothing, you risk everything. So if you're not willing to risk anything at all, then you're risking everything at stake, because it's just like anything else. Like you have to put yourself out there and be willing to fail. See, so many people are afraid to fail. And if you're willing to fail fast, but learn quicker. So, all right, I'm failing. Like in our business, we fail a lot. As you know, man, you fail a lot in our business, but the reward outweighs the failures.
Yeah, by a lot. That's what I'm saying. Like that W-2, what you're risking is your time, and the reward is being comfortable and having that steady check come in. So that's why I think a lot more people should get into the entrepreneur world, but a lot of people aren't built for it. You got to be a leader. You got to learn how to get better. You got to learn how to work hard and block out the noise. But I feel like it's just all about where people come from, because you learn a lot of your like staples and core like meanings and values and stuff that you really, stand on from growing up. I feel like so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the risk and reward, like you said earlier, you gotta, as an entrepreneur, your risk is betting on yourself. So I feel like that's what I think I'm betting on myself to become the person I want to become. So that's the risk, because what happens if I don't succeed at it? So I'm risking that. But the reward, if I do succeed at it, I'll be happy that I took the risk on it. Whereas on a W-2, like I said, my opinion, I don't know for sure or not because I haven't worked it. But you are putting your risk on someone else because you're gonna get a steady paycheck, but your time is gonna be drastically changed in your freedom just because you're not getting the rewards that someone else took the risk on themselves with is going to get because they took that risk.
Because like me personally, and it's not something I struggle with, it's just something I try to keep the main like objective is I have to stay disciplined.
Yes.
So like I have to make these calls, I have to set my schedule up, I have to get up, I have to go to the gym, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people struggle with. They can start up something, but they never really finish it or go through with it. So that's why I feel like being like an entrepreneur, discipline is like the number one thing I feel like. So,
and I'll piggyback on that because I was in the same mindset that you have now. And I still am. Like I have to do certain stuff to hit my numbers and whatnot. But being that I've kind of been confident or gained confidence in my system by doing it so many times and being repetitive, I have the mindset of I get to do this. I get to set appointments. I get to, help families. I get to do this just because I've earned the right to do that because I know what I can do as a personal producer now as, what I do for myself. So, that's going to come with time, but the shift in mindset kind of helped me being more of a better entrepreneur and also, growing a team and helping them as well. I think that kind of helps my mindset having I get to do this instead of I have to do this.
But it's also a little bit, I feel like I'm having fun.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Like I'm talking to people, I'm building relationships, we get them on camera, we're talking to them. Like, I think I'm having fun. Like, okay, I can talk to people, we can laugh about things, and at the same time, you're making money type deal. So,
but you're truly helping people, and that's the thing is like you're not just making phone calls just to make phone calls. Like you're truly helping people, and that has to be a mission statement in anything you're going to do. If you're starting a business, it has to be at the forefront. Is I'm genuinely helping people. Now, don't get me wrong, we get paid well. But at the end of the day, if I know I'm helping somebody, if I help enough people get to where they want to be, I think it's the old Zig Ziglar quote. If you help enough people in life get to where they want to be, you'll eventually get to where you want to be. And so helping people, and I love I get to, but I understand, like, I have to be disciplined for my business.
Exactly.
Like I have to. Then I get to, because then you turn into, you have this gratefulness, you know, and thankfulness that you're betting on yourself. You're developing a skill set. There's a great book out there. It's called Chess, Not Checkers. And it talks about betting on leadership. Like, leadership is everything. Think about everything that ever has been done great. From, we were talking sports earlier, from, football, basketball, to anything great. Everything starts with the leadership. So like, somebody has to steer the ship. Somebody has to say, this is the path we're going. And a lot of times, some of the calls that they make, they fail. Like, it was a wrong call, but they own it. They move on. They learn from it. People that make a call and they fail on that call, they dwell on it. They never progress in business. It's because, well, I'm afraid to make another call. It's one thing that I've always heard one of my mentors say is, I'm not afraid to make a call. And if it's the wrong call, I'll own it, but we'll learn from it. So a lot of people are so upset about losing, but if I'm learning, I never lose. I'm always winning because I'm learning.
Yeah. And you keep your feelings out of it. Keep your feelings out of business.
There is no room for emotions in business.
Yeah, there's none, because emotions do not get you paid.
So true.
What do you think it feels like? Or I don't know how your upbringing was, but for somebody that, say somebody just comes up, they're coming up, what does it feel like for somebody, to have nothing? Like, have you ever been in that position, and how does that feel to you? Like, what does it mean, like, today?
I've been very blessed that my parents always provided for us. Like, we never really struggled. But as I got older as an adult, I realized that my parents did struggle in the background. My father worked, my mom, she was a real estate agent, and they always provided for us. There's a lot of wants back in the day. I want to do this. I want this, mom, I want this, dad, but they always made sure we were provided for. And I love that my mom always instilled in me, it was, no matter how good you think you are, there's somebody around the corner that's working harder and they're getting better than you are. So always humble. Like in Little League, playing Little League sports or whatever, it's like, I'm the man. Well, you go to another ball game, all of a sudden you run into another man that was working harder than you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I was thankful that they instilled little principles like that along the journey, and had a great upbringing, lived in a nice house. So I never know what it was like to really struggle as a kid or as an adult, because they always provided.
Well, you did construction, right?
Yeah. So when I got out of school, I worked outdoors. I love working outdoors. And so
to me, it's hot. It is hot.
Well, I worked for Nick's father-in-law. We moved heavy machinery around, put down asphalt. Like, it was hot work, but I enjoyed creating something that, like, there was dirt there. All of a sudden now there's a driveway. Like, I had fulfillment doing that. During summertime, made a lot of money because I got paid overtime, worked a lot of overtime. Then as winter would come around, it would rain and you couldn't push mud. So I'd go from 60 hours a week to 20 hours a week. And he was being gracious by giving me 20 hours by cleaning up the shop. And I realized then that there are factors out there that limit my potential of earning. And it wasn't his fault that it was raining, right? But I had to find something that I could make money and not let anybody dictate what I could do and what I couldn't do. I love about our business is it doesn't matter who's in the White House. It doesn't matter what law is here. It doesn't matter all this stuff. I have an insurance license. Everybody needs insurance. So at the end of the day, I can still go make a paycheck if needed. But yeah, I mean, when I worked construction, I was living at home. Fortunately, I did not make enough to where I could have a house on my own. Yeah. So I was living at home. So, I mean, I thought I was living high on the hog, rent free at the parents. And then I'll never forget, I went to my mom and I said, I want to buy a boat. It's summertime coming up. I want to buy a boat. She's like, well, if you can buy a boat, you can pay rent. I'm like, you know what? I should buy a house.
That makes a lot of sense. What about, like, what fuels you? Like, what brought you, like, something has to fuel you. Like, nothing's really given to you. So, like, what really brought you, like? Yeah.
So basically, I had a decent upbringing. My parents were not like millionaires or nothing like that. Went through some struggles growing up and everything. My dad and my mom are great prayer warriors. My dad was a pastor. My mom was, she was first lady and everything. So they prayed a lot through a lot of stuff we had to go through. But one thing, two
You
things.
had a lot of spiritual battles in.
Oh.
If your father was a pastor, you had a lot of spiritual
We could do a whole
battles.
podcast on that in itself. But basically, my dad kind of taught me two different things growing up. Like two main key points was discipline and responsibility. You have a responsibility to yourself and to whatever you want to get into life, but you got to have the discipline in order to keep it. You know, and it kind of goes hand in hand. In order to have the responsibility, you got to have discipline. In order to have discipline, you got to have responsibility. Keep up. And so it's like back and forth. So I kind of think that kind of helps me goes into being an entrepreneur and also fueling me to knowing what I want. Because growing up, I didn't have certain things that I want to have. You know, I have had people promise me certain things in life, you know, being not boasting, but being a straight A student, you know, doing necessary things to have good grades and whatnot. I had people, you know, say they're going to do some things and they didn't do for me, or, you know, were so proud of me or said they're going to do some things. So I kind of felt that as something like I don't want to have that, you know, above me or on me for the rest of my life. So I kind of want to make sure if I want to get something for myself or if I know I deserve something, I want to go and get it. So I feel like that kind of fuels me knowing that if I put the work in for something, you know, and I know I did all I can and I want to attain something, then I need to go and, you know, get up and work for it. So that kind of fuels me to this day, you know. And like I said, I had a great upbringing. I love my mom and dad, my sisters and everything. But that really kind of just fuels me to, you know, go where I haven't been yet in life and have the things that I haven't had. So
Yeah, no, I feel that. That's kind of that ties into like the all-in mentality. I think we were talking about that yesterday. You know, having one foot in and the other one out type deal, and that's what we were talking about earlier too on the call about that. What do you think? How important is like an all-in mentality? Like, what's like the risk and reward with that? With going all in and just putting everything forth towards something.
Well, 80% in is 100% out. So if you're like 80% certain this is going to work, it's 100% not going to work. So you do have to have an all-in mentality. If not, what's the point in doing it? You know, when I did construction working for Nick's father-in-law, his motto was, if you're going to do something, why not do it right? Do it right the first time. And so I would rather, you know, you hear Tim Grover, and I love listening to the podcast anytime he's on, is like talk about, you know, pay the price of discipline now instead of getting the bill of regret. And so if you are going to do something and you are going to be all in from an entrepreneurial mindset, why risk the chance of it failing because it was on you?
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, you have to be all in on anything, because it's like this. If you're all in, nobody can talk you out of it. But if you're 80%, 90% in, the moment somebody plants a seed of negativity, what happens is that negativity,
100%.
You're not going to change your trajectory and the path you're going, but that seed of negativity all of a sudden gets fertilized because somebody else makes a comment. And then all of a sudden it grows, and then all of a sudden you start doubting yourself. You start doubting what you're doing. Next thing you know, you can't even function because all that negativity is just eating you alive. So you have to have an all-in mentality. I'm a firm believer you have to be careful who you share your vision to, because the old saying is what? It's not for everybody, number one.
Exactly. I told Lincoln that.
You know, but also number two is if I'm selective on who I share that with, that means if I share it with you, that means I feel like you can help me get there. From a mentorship standpoint, from any kind of like a lean in relationship standpoint, if I share my vision with you, that means I trust you enough to go along that journey with me, the good and the bad times.
Yeah.
I read a book a couple of months ago, and I was really itching to get to this. But I read a book a couple of months ago that said the most successful people in the world are people who have went at a certain avenue or certain career for a period of time. You know, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, they've been at a certain area to where they can learn the failures, learn what not to do, what to do in order to perfect their craft. It's called The Wealth Choice. It's a great book. But basically, that all-in mindset, I mean, if you're not all in, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're never going to find any type of career for yourself that you will be good. And like you can try something, be all in, and hey, this probably not what I like to do, or I don't know, you know, let me try, I don't know. But you have to be all in on something. You can't be, oh, I'm gonna try this for this and then just see, and then you don't even do this, you know, you don't follow a system that has been laid out for you. It's never gonna work. You know, if you have someone that has done something or has accomplished something and they're telling you what to do and you do not follow it, or you try to skip trace or, try to shortcut some systems, it's not going to work out for you. So you always have to have an all-in mindset, not only on the goal or what, you have to do process wise, but every little detail you have to be all in to try to make it as parallel to what someone else has already done before you. Yeah. And that's my thought process on that. I really feel like you have to have an all-in mindset on anything you do, because if you don't, you just wasting time and money at the end of the day. And 100%. You can't never get time back that you wasted for not doing something right. You may can get money back, that comes and goes, but your time is very limited. So I feel like you have to always be all in to, try to figure out how to work the system, how to work whatever area you in to try to be successful as fast as possible, or learn as fast as possible.
Yeah. What do you think, JB? What's the all-in mentality for this career specifically?
In our industry?
Yes.
Focus. And in our business, we're really an activity-based business. Is if you focus on the right activity, then the results will eventually fall in your favor. And I say eventually fall is it's not like you go a year by doing activity and then all of a sudden, I'm finally making money. Mm-hmm. Like what happens is you make money along the way, but you develop a skill set that you can always use in any career. But the better you get at your skill set, the more money you make. The more people you talk to, the sharper you can develop that skill set. And so for our business, it's activity. Activity is king. I will take someone who's hard working, who doesn't give up, someone all day long, versus someone who can talk better than that person at that moment. Because I can teach somebody that's working hard, like I can teach them, how to speak by growing, by reading and self-developing. But the person that's lazy, the person that's not willing to go work, I can't work with that person. My baseball coach, he told me, he said, you want a horse that you got to say, whoa, not go. Mm-hmm. Like I used to train horses, believe it or not. I used to ride horses, and I had a horse that had a lot of spunk, a lot of spirit. I could teach that horse to do what I want to do because I could eventually get it disciplined to do what I needed it to do. But if you had a horse that was a deadhead that just wouldn't get up and go, there's only so many times I can punch that horse. There's only so many times I can tell that horse to go. So in our business, if somebody comes in and they make excuses, Lori Parton, she said it best, is you can make excuses or you can make money, but you can't make both. Yeah. So I can take someone who is willing to go fail, who's a hard worker. I can help them learn a skill set. I can't push a rope. I can't push someone who's just not willing to go work.
Yeah, I think it's like piggybacking off that, just being, purposeful, like doing everything with a purpose, like the small details. Like with me, I have every morning make sure I have a bottle of water. I make sure I have water, to speak and, go through meetings and you're talking to people all day, attending meetings, making sure I have a schedule where I can write out my times, have a certain amount of leads that I go through, like everything I try to, even to the detail. Like if you go in my office, and probably Link can attest to, I just have like not random, but just like certain stuff put in certain ways. And it's there for like a purpose. Like everything has a purpose for it, and there's a reason for everything. And that's why I think the little details, because I'm big with details, and this helped me a lot in this business, I think. So
well, the details matter, but I'll let Lincoln hit on it because he is a habitual routine person. Like routine matters. I mean, in your life, yes, but especially in our business. Like how important for you, once you figured out your routine, what did it do for your business?
Yeah, so I kind of make a joke. Most of the times when I meet new people, it takes them 4 days to understand what I'm doing every part of the day because my routine is kind of very the same, But having like a routine that I don't have to worry about external factors affecting it, it just makes my job, it makes my career just more easier. Going to the gym at the same time, even jumping in the shower at the gym at the same time. I can understand if something is not right, I can pinpoint, okay, this is what is making me feel like this, or this is what I need to change to get this result. So I feel like that kind of helped my business a lot when I got a real routine, as far as business wise and being an entrepreneur. And that comes back to, like I said, being disciplined. and having the disciplined mindset to, well, I got to do this certain amount of activity in order to get this. I have to do this in order to have this for later on the day. I have to have this amount of appointments to do this. So it kind of helped me have a more systematic approach smoother, systematic approach. Because I read in the 12-week year, I just finished it. They said one thing you need to stop worrying about is the goals, but the systems and processes you have in order to get to those goals. So that is what changes either if you can win or not. Because everyone has, at the start of basketball season, everyone has the goal of winning the conference, correct? Mm-hmm. But what matters and whoever wins it accounts to what they did during practice, conditioning, what the coach told them to do, what plays they ran. Not really, well, it comes down to the game too, but really what they practiced and how their routine was in order to help them be successful. Because you're gonna have a winner and loser. So I feel like, that would kind of help me. That kind of helps me, understand that. And it was kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, basically, when I read through that, because I was like, I've been doing that, like having a routine for myself. But it just kind of helps me be more systematic in my business and also, as a person as well.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people sometimes say, well, I'm consistent in my schedule. And I was listening to a podcast and he was talking about don't mistake consistency with discipline. Mm-hmm. Like you can be consistently doing a bad routine,
exactly.
Like consistently. But if you're disciplined enough to stick to a routine, and it's funny you say that about, the time that you go to the gym and this and that, because you have non-negotiables in your life. It's like, I'm going to do this regardless of any exterior circumstances.
Yes, I've had people call me to ask to do certain stuff at a time I have to go to the gym, and I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean or nothing, but I'm just 100%. Not doing it because if I have a certain schedule in place, I'm not going to go out my way to service. I mean, it's just me. Like I said, I'm not going to do it. So, I mean, I have a certain routine in place in order to, get certain results. So that's kind of what I kind of go by.
You guys got me into TikTok because my algorithm's on point with all the motivation stuff. Yeah. But I was listening to Ice-T and they said something like, what's some wisdom you would give somebody? He said, learn to say no. And he said, what do you mean? He said, because if I say yes, then you can blame me. Mm-hmm. So like if somebody asks you, hey, can you take me to the airport? And you say yes. Well, if they're late, they can blame you because you said yes. But if he says no, you don't take the blame no more. But it's so much deeper in that conversation. I was watching him, but he said sometimes the best thing you can say is no. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough pill to swallow because sometimes you want to, you got your friends,
please
you want to,
people.
Yeah, you want to please people. It's like, hey, can we go to Six Flags in the middle of the week because they're busy on Friday? Ooh. Well, no, that gets in the middle. That gets in the middle of my work schedule, right? So you got to be disciplined to it. But, you do break free and go enjoy things. But at the end of the day, if you have a goal in mind, you have to stay disciplined towards that goal.
Exactly. 100%.
Because me, for example, the routine, I didn't have a routine in place when I first started this. It was kind of just classes and workouts and stuff. But this past, I want to say, 3 weeks, almost a month, I had to change my routine.
When you graduated college, like you were like, hey, I'm going to create a routine. I'm going to create a routine. And it was tough for you to get into that flow. But what caused you, what forced you
I was getting
to get into, no, because this is good because a lot of times you'll hear me say this, things happen for you, not to you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And what you're about to talk about, it happened for you. At the time, you thought it was, man, why it happened to me, man, all these battles, but what we talk about.
Yeah, so it took, probably what you just said, those first, I want to say like an hour, I was like, why me? And then on the way back, so what happened was my car got wrecked, somebody hit me, and I don't have a car now. Keep it short. Happened like the second week of May, and I was just like, why me? In the midst, I think my phone broke the same day my phone was broken.
Yep.
So all that, I'm like, okay, why is this happening to me?
And the license. And then,
that's what I'm saying. You don't have a ride.
So I don't have a license. I don't have car, phone, just a whole bunch of stuff that went on all within like a 2-day span. And like I said, I would ask myself, why me? After like an hour, and like with me and Lincoln, we were driving back home, and he was like, look, this happens for a reason. Like you're about to have something really, really big hit you. You just got to stay down and take all the punches. And that's when I got home that same night, looked myself in the mirror. I'm like, look, what I was doing when I had a car, what's going to be different now when I don't have a car? Like, what do I have to do? And I have to change and adapt to where, like, I have something set in stone. When I get a car and the license or whatever, it's not going to make a difference. So, like he said, even you told me, you and Nick were like, look, all three of you guys are like, something big is coming your way, but there's a reason for it. Like, it happened for a reason. And like I said, I took it as a lesson, like a teaching moment.
Yeah.
So I had probably my biggest week last week. May, I crashed my car the 14th of May. That was my biggest month since I joined the business. Last week was one of my biggest weeks. This week is building to be one of my biggest weeks as well.
The other day?
My biggest day was yesterday, and all this in the midst of not having a car, a license.
But you know, a lot of people would look at that, Mina, and say, see, that's a sign you don't need to be doing that. You need to go find you a job.
But I asked myself that same question.
You asked me too.
I asked him, I said, am I doing something wrong? It's like God telling me, like, look, you should not be doing this, like find a different route? Or is there just stay on the path and keep taking the punches? So,
and I'm glad I was conscious enough, and I've been through, not as bad as he did, but I've been through some certain stuff, and I was, conscious enough at the time, because we were driving back, we were driving back at 2 a.m. in the morning.
2-hour drive.
Yeah, I remember getting snaps.
On a Sunday morning, it was Sunday night, but Monday morning, and I was getting ready to, because I think I had like a good week the week before, and I was like, I'm finna roll this over to next week, and not blaming you or nothing like that, because I'm glad I was able to help you out or nothing, but I'm just saying,
that was
like,
on Monday.
it was 2 a.m. and I wanted to go to the gym too, and I was like, oh, man, I can't go to the gym because my routine, and everything, but I was like, he didn't ask for this, so I'm gonna be a friend and make sure I stay with him. But I kind of, I told you that I was like, this is not something telling you not to be doing this. This is just something attacking you. This is gonna help you, build you, because either something when you have failures, you're either gonna learn from it, like you said earlier, and build on it, or it's gonna break you and you're gonna go try something else and jump ship. One of the two gonna happen. It's either or. So I kind of told him that too, and I'm kind of just glad he took heed to that and actually took accountability and became an entrepreneur, really, out the gate, right out of college, like 1 week. I learned so much. Like, that's why I said I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I'm not holding myself accountable enough. Like, I had a car and I wouldn't go to the gym with Lincoln. I paid for a membership and I still wouldn't go scan in and go to the gym, like, while I had a car. I'm being so serious. I'm like, so I'm not holding myself any accountability. But now, so Lincoln has to come get me because I don't have a car. So I'm like, okay, now, like, I have to hold myself accountable to him. So I'm like, if I could do it to him, I have to be able to do it towards me. That's kind of what I got out of it. So that goes back to the risk reward. Wherever there's a great battle, there's a great victory on the other side. And we mistaken the battle with, I need to turn around. That's a detour. I need to, not a detour, but I need to make a U-turn and head back the other way. As opposed to saying, all right, here's a battle. I need to make a detour because I'm still going somewhere. Like, I'm still have a destiny. I still set out. Because if you would have been 80% in this business, Mina, you wouldn't be doing it right now, because that little hiccup would have caused you not to move forward. You would say, man, I just need to go get a job right now because I don't have a car. I don't have a phone. I just need to go find me a job to make some money right now. It was bad. My phone was broken. I missed a whole day of business. Yeah. It was bad. Yeah. So, and just so you know, I just want to clarify, you don't have your license not because of you not driving, but you don't have a physical license in hand to be able to go get another ride. Exactly. So I just want to clarify that. Yes. Can't get too much into it. I have lawyers on the case, but I don't have a license for a very good reason. Don't have a physical license. It's coming in the mail. I just want to clarify that. Somebody say, well, he don't have a license. What did he do driving? I have a Georgia insurance license and a driver's license. I just don't have it physically. That's right, because you can't go get another ride. Like, you can't go rent a car. You can't do anything until you have that. Everything. I didn't realize copy of your license, everything. I didn't know, like, until you lose it, you don't realize how much it means to you until you lose something. And I'm like, I didn't know my license. That's a message right there, bro. Everything. That is a message. It was the same week as my birthday. Couldn't get anything to drink because I don't have a license. Same weekend as the birthday. Can't get a rental. Don't have a license. Can't get a new phone. Don't have a license. So I'm like, my whole life is on a pause because of one little license. I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. Like, it's crazy. I was actually like, I wasn't laughing at it, but I was like, it's just too much stuff is happening to him right now. Like, because his phone breaking had nothing to do with the car, by the way. Like, it just randomly just started to stop working the day after. Like, it was nothing to do with the car accident. His phone was not smashing the car accident or nothing. It literally just stopped working. And then it's just, I seen it firsthand. It's just like I saw it, the whole thing happen. Like I saw the whole transformation from then to now. It's just amazing. So
it feels like a year ago that happened.
I'm telling you, time goes by quick. A guy told me years ago, he said, the older you get, days will go by like years and years will go by like days. And truer words have never been spoken.
But these days are flying by. Like, I feel like when you're making money, the days are flying by. And my dad always told me that, and I never really, I was like, okay, I gotta wait. I gotta see for myself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, me and my dad will go back and forth. Like, he'll call me like, hey, Mina, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good. Like, good conversation. But, oh, okay, I made this much today. And I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing? All right. So, you know what I did yesterday? I called him. I was like, yo, how's your day going? He's like, oh, I made this much. I was like, okay, I made this much. He was like, oh, really? That's what you're doing now? I'm like, yeah. So, you know, I kind of grew up a little bit, you know, earned some stripes. So, what do you think your why is, Lincoln?
My why?
Yeah.
Personally, like I said earlier, there's certain things in life that I want that I wasn't able to get or experience at a younger age. And I have, you know, the want to get to do though. You know, I want to travel. I want to be, you know, financially free in order to do what I want to do when I want to do it, basically. So that's kind of what my why is, really. I know it's kind of bland, but that's really that's how I feel. You know, I want to be able to do certain things that I wasn't able to do or I haven't experienced yet. So I want to be able to attain those things, basically.
Yeah. What about you, JB?
Well, my why has evolved over the years in business. You know, when I first got started, it was I wanted to make more money. And then it evolved into, well, I wanted that freedom to where I didn't have to have somebody tell me when to show up, you know, and how to perform. And then now as, you know, life has happened with 4 kids and everything, my why continues to evolve every day. You know, it's every day the why, you know, not that it necessarily changes, but it just grows and it evolves. Mm-hmm. You know, I just want to make sure that you're looking back at my kids that they can say, you know, Daddy never quit on us. And I want to make sure that they have a legacy that says my father was always there for me. Maybe not in the physical sense. Maybe I wasn't there at one ball game, but I was there because I supported them. Mm-hmm. And I gave them the opportunities that, you know, a lot of kids unfortunately, they don't have the same opportunities that my kids have.
Yeah. I ask myself that every day, and it's not that I'm looking for it, but it's like I'm trying to build wealth between myself. So wealth and everything, like money, like me personally inside myself, my relationships and all that. But it's just really like, how do I explain this? I try to do things outside of work that help me with my business. So like reading books and stuff like that. And I've been getting into it. He gave me some books to start reading. I've been reading them recently.
Yeah.
So that's why I just want to know like how you guys spend your time to where it correlates outside of work and it correlates to work. Does that make sense?
I think in the business, when you're in business, everything works together with it. Like your personal life, like if your personal life is bad, then your business is going to be bad.
Yeah.
And if your personal life is, you know, if you work on it every day, that means you're going to work on your business every day. See, like when you show up here and you start doing activity, you're calling clients, you're, you know, talking to people, whatever, that's game time. Outside of that, that's the conditioning, that's the working out, that's the getting ready. And, you know, that's the separation. That's where you got to have the separation is, do you only work in your business or do you work on your business? Because there's a difference. You know, if you're only working in your business, you get bogged down with the minutia, and then all of a sudden it's like when you leave here, it's like you don't think about your business. Like you constantly work on your business. Yeah. And the way you work on it, to your point, is personally. How can I personally get better? Because if I personally get better, everything around me just happens to get better.
Yeah. Like discipline to wake up to go to the gym. It'll translate to discipline to setting these 3 hours to book these appointments. And, you know, just, I think, like I said, like he said, with the routine, everything is way more smoother. I'm a lot more calm. You know, I laugh a lot of things off. But having that routine, it just keeps you like mentally in a different, you know, state. And it's always good to have one. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's helped me. Just having a routine, it changes everything.
Well, you can predict your results when you have a routine.
Exactly.
You know, and then if there is a bump in the road to where you have a car wreck, you still have that routine to fall back on. Like, there was a hiccup, but you go back into your routine.
That changed everything.
Again, it
routine.
happened for you. It didn't
Yeah.
happen to you. But at the time, I'm going to tell you, at the time, you couldn't see that. All you saw was, I'm saying at the time, you were like, man,
Yeah.
this sucks. Because you had some bad moments, but you flushed them. And notice I said moments. I didn't say day. I didn't say week.
Yeah.
You had some bad moments, but you flushed it.
Yeah.
And that's what high achievers do. Is they learn how to flush bad moments. They don't let that bad moment turn into a bad day. They don't let that bad day turn into a bad week. And then all of a sudden, just a bad life.
Right.
High achievers I have a bad moment. I dealt with it. I flushed it. Now I'm moving on.
I almost don't want a car now. I'm good.
Now hold up.
Look,
Niggas like, I'm tired of picking your butt up.
No,
I don't care.
I'm tired of getting into the passenger seat. That's what I'm tired
Are
of.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
Well, man, I appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down. I know, again, it kind of threw a hiccup in the routine on a Wednesday for you guys to come in and sit down. But, I can sit here and continue to talk business. So I'll let you close out, Mina. What advice would you give somebody that says, I'm on the fence of betting on myself or not? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to do some very deep thinking into yourself, look into the mirror, ask yourself, what do you truly want? So if you want better for yourself, if you want to build, freedom, financial freedom, just being free and, having your own schedule, doing what you want to do, then it's not going to be easy. Like society sets things up to where you have a 9 to 5, you get that high school, college degree, you're working that career. But if you want to do something like this, it's not for, what'd you say, the heart of faint, something like that?
Faint of heart.
Faint of heart. There you go. It's not for somebody that can just, lollygag in here and just throw a folder down and start running appointments. Like, you have to do the numbers. You have to take the time. Like, you have to do everything on purpose. So find out why you would want to do that, like your reason and your why, and apply that towards what you want to accomplish with that. So,
boom, there it is. Well, hey, if you enjoyed this, I appreciate you visiting with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
YouTube,
Yep.
TikTok, Instagram, all that.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All right, you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you guys next week.